And I'm back with my 1977 Fiat 124 Spider, and I'm still thrilled that I was able to get this thing to start and run for the first time in almost 25 years, which you would have seen in my last video. But I was quickly reminded by commenters on Facebook and YouTube that I most certainly and quite likely bent some valves when I turned that crankshaft before verifying that the timing belt was indeed attached correctly. And honestly, I have to agree with you. That was a mistake on my part. I should have checked that. No matter what the history of this car could be, why risk adding more damage? So mea culpa, it won't be my last mistake, but we're gonna have to move on from there. And so that means today we're gonna do a compression test. Additionally, I'd like to remove the smog pump and remove the associated lines for that. And I will probably be removing the brake master cylinder and getting that area cleaned up, removing some of the brake lines and prepare for brakes, because we all know that once this thing starts to move, it's got to stop. So fingers crossed, we're going to get some compression. Hopefully I didn't damage the engine, but you know, there's worse things than a top end rebuild. So let's find out. Test results are in. You are not the father. Here's what we've learned. We got a little bit hot now, and I have found we have a oil leak. And I don't know exactly where it's coming from. I was hoping to knock something loose, maybe let it run a little bit, see if that number 3 cylinder will open up, or close up rather. See if we can get some compression in that cylinder. If not, The head's coming off. Probably not a bad idea to do anyway. Okay, right here in my hand, I have the results for the compression tests. But before I get to that, I wanted to mention the oil leak is just my own dumb fault. When I pulled the air pump off and the associated plumbing, I loosened the bracket and forgot to tighten down the bolts on the cam box, thus creating an oil leak. After that was tightened up, no big deal. So, catastrophe averted. The car moves on its own, which you guys might have seen. Pretty cool that this thing can move under its own power after 25 years. It's able to back it out of the garage, move it around a little bit. So that's pretty good. The compression test, let's get to the big news. I'm sure this will make many of you happy. And the results are: cylinder number 1, 100 PSI. Cylinder number 2, 100 PSI. Cylinder number 3, 0 PSI. Cylinder number 4, 100 PSI. And there you have it. 3 out of 4 cylinders have compression. Keep in mind that was on a cold engine, so your results may vary, but 3 of the cylinders are getting compression. It runs great on 3 cylinders. Cylinder number 3, obviously, there's a problem. So, sounds like the head's coming off. Stay tuned, we're gonna work on that coming up. In the meantime, I might do a little odds and ends while I wait for some gaskets to show up. So keep an eye out for some new tires. Maybe we'll get this thing cleaned up a little bit. The brakes need some work, so we'll get the master cylinder. And that's all to come. Thanks for joining me. Stay tuned for some more stuff. And it's been fun so far.